Welcome, everyone. I guess we've had about a month now, right, for you guys to play around with the new unearthed challenge. And so it was maybe at the end of last season, beginning of the summer, that Juan contacted me and said he wanted to know how to sort of share some of his professional experience with and put it in the context of an FLL team. And I loved that idea because many years ago when I was coaching my FLL team, one of the best pieces of advice I got was from someone who taught me how to use, it's called a RACI matrix, but how to use that, which is a professional project management tool, to help me manage the kids and who does what and what are they responsible for. And it got to the point where I did nothing. The kids would show up and somebody had the job to write the agenda, and they knew who was working on the robot and who was working on the project and so on. So when Juan contacted me this summer, we had a couple of brainstorming sessions, and today you're getting the full, we did a little taste of it on August 9th, but you're getting the full presentation today. And so I'll hand it over to him and have him introduce himself. He'll go through the presentation. It will have, oh, hi, Denise, first year. This is good. This is going to give you such good foundational tools. I'll say this, since you mentioned this is your first year. I will say this. You may not be able to implement everything that Juan is talking about today. Okay? That's okay. Based on your team and the dynamics of your team, if you can pick one thing, maybe two, that works for you and you implement it this year, fantastic. FLL, first in general, is not meant to be a 1 year and you're done type of program. FLL is designed to be something where you can start where you are at the very beginning, and every year you can add a little bit to it, more and more skills. You can start with a simple robot, and every year it gets a little bit more complex. You can start with block-based programming, and 2-3 years down the road you say, you know what? We're switching over to Python. I know some crazy teams who did that in the middle of the season. No names shall be mentioned, Juan. Right? Who do that. But the point is that it is that the students get benefit. It doesn't matter what level you're at. They will get benefit. They've proven this. FIRST has studied this. 1 year even of FIRST is beneficial for the students. So if you do it, imagine if you do it 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and the students are developing not just a robot, but these skills that Juan is about to talk about, which are lifelong skills that will benefit them. So don't get overwhelmed with, you don't have to implement all of this. Choose one or two things that works for you and go from there. And say next year you say, ooh, I want to add something else. This video will be posted. Go back to the video next year. You can go through it again, pick something that you like, and then you can implement that. Okay? So don't get overwhelmed. We're giving you a lot of information today. Okay. I'm going to keep an eye on the chat. If you guys have questions you want to throw in the chat, you can. If you want to put your hand up, you can. If you want to interrupt Juan, you can. I would like to see if we can keep it to maybe be done about 6:15, 6:20, because I'd like to keep a few minutes at the end to open it up to questions on any topic that maybe I can help you. And if you have ideas on what to do next time. Okay? All right, Juan, I hand it over to you.
Okay. So hello, everybody. And I wanted to introduce myself, but also mention I want this to be like a conversation. We have some material that will help us keep us on topic, but this is not in no means instructional how to become an expert or anything like that. This is more to things that I saw last year in our team that if we probably would be more structured, we would have been more effective and sometimes probably more avoid some repetition or understand more or faster some of the issues that we faced. So talking to Elaine, I thought that this was a good idea. If we were facing it, maybe other people were facing it. So I took to put together this material just for the purpose of sharing. Again, let's assume we're having coffee in someone's house and I'm exchanging ideas. And if you have a question, feel free to ask. Again, this is a set of concepts on doing project management. Second here. Can I go down here? Okay. So first of all, I wanted to mention that FLL is about creativity, teamwork, and problem solving. So I want to emphasize teamwork and problem solving by this material that, again, as a different coaches or members of different teams, I don't think we are competing at now or later. I think this is teamwork for the benefit of our team members and to grow together for them and for us. So when we have this creativity and have fun, why should be the project management activities be a roadblock or be a concern? So applying all of this, what we're trying to do is to have a set of tools that will allow you to get to your end goal, reduce the stress, know where you are, and that will allow to focus more time on innovation, on hands-on, on spending time creating ideas on the innovation project, on the robot design, on the mission, and of course the core values. So the idea is that better planning, these tools help us do better planning, get us to a point where we can focus on other things and not rush at the end or forget things that we had to do. So project management is very simple. To be here today, all of you said 5:30, I have to be here. Or you define a set of activities to meet the goal. Be 5:30 in the meeting. So uh, this was the original material for the 9 a.m. in the August 9. But again, you have to come to a point where you plan where you're going to be and you execute to be on time. Translate that to the project, to the FLL. We have uh, scrimmage, have um, regionals, we have state. Ideally, you get to another of the larger national or international activities or conferences. So where are you going to be? This will help you plan to. So what is project management in a very quick summary is the art of organizing time, people, and tasks to meet a goal. Again, define what the goal is. We're going to talk a little bit later about that. And then we can apply all of this to every single pillar of our endeavor here with FLL. I'm struggling with our team because I think we should have three different sub efforts towards a main goal and not have everything convoluted. But again, we're dealing as a dynamic of the team. But having robot design and team as its own, what do we need to do here, innovation project, how the core values get represented, how to keep gracious professionalism across all the activities. So it's how we're going to go organize to achieve the objectives of all of these. So again, feel free to stop at any time. And if you want to know how explorers are doing, also I can share that we don't follow all of this. This is the material that I thought we should follow. So again, as Elaine said, we are not a well-oiled machine. We still struggle as a team. But first of all, I think we need to define the objective for the season. As a multi-year effort, decide as a team members and parents combine what are you trying to achieve and assess the maturity, the skill level, the commitment, and the level of interest from the Just want to get started, get to know how all of this works, participate, and let's say 300 points for setting up a number. And that will be your goal. And everybody is aligned around that goal. So what can you use for understanding what is acceptable beyond expectations and top of the line? Use the rubrics. So everything in this presentation that you see in red, it's a tool. So rubrics are the tools. There's a link to that. Is the Elaine can probably explain this better, but it's the template how the judges evaluate the teams in the presentation, on the field, in the play area, in the pit, everywhere. Rubrics is the template by which judges assess the team. And
I put the link for the unearthed rubrics. The one you have down here is for submerged. I put the link for
oh,
the
okay,
unearthed rubrics, a new ones. I put it in the chat. If anybody wants to click on that and save it, you have access to it.
okay. So once you define that objective, again, the team members, the parents, because it's a time commitment. Our team said, we're going to meet every week, and if needed during the week, we're going to have also some sessions, and we need the participation of the parents in certain way. We're going to operate this way. And if you're not aligned to that, then probably you don't belong in this team. So that's alignment expectations within our team. But once you have that, then you can decide, I'm going to my target is to go to the regional and do well. And that would be it. So you define the objective. That's your objective. Then you define the activity that we'll use for that objective. Any questions so far? Okay. So I'll identify the core resources that you need. And who are going to be the team members? Make sure that you have the commitment of the team members and the parents. Because if they say, oh no, I have my soccer or I have my volleyball, and finding the time in which 6, 7, 8 people can get together sounds easy, but it's very challenging. Besides school. So many of the kids that are in FLL also have some type of what do you call it? Not the normal standard. I just go to school kid. I think they want more, and I think that would be a challenge to find that time. So having the commitment that I will be there, I will deliver to my commitments, to my deliverables, because we'll see later how to distribute the work. Identify what materials are needed, and the table, Lego set, we're going to meet, logistics, all of those. And define basic team rules, as I was mentioning. How often you need to be there, if you miss, give enough time ahead, make sure you follow up on your uh, weekly tasks, etc., etc. And define a decision-making matrix. Here to define responsibilities of everybody involved, team member, team admin, coach, assistant, parents. So some parents may want to become coaches, but they don't want the responsibility of being a coach. And that has to be clear. Who makes the calls? Sometimes you're defining the strategy and they say, no, we should go this way. No, that's not. So who is the final decision maker on what's the strategy? So then we jump into the roles and responsibilities. So there's going to be very different skills required for the kid. This is for the kids that I'm outlining here. As a project manager, someone who can take over a scope and make sure that there's a plan for it. Let's say the innovation project. Some of the team members may take that responsibility and coordinate the effort, define what's the timeline, what is needed from the different team members, what are the activities, what experts are going to talk, by when do we have to have a specific prototype, etc., etc. Who's going to be more focused on the robot and coding? Not that everybody has to be, what do you call it, Not that they don't want to be involved in everything, but some of them may take the lead and be more high percentage. They like that more. They like to collaborate with the other team members and help them. So how to do that? Same as researchers and core values. So define and assign roles based on the interests of the kids and their skills. And then capture that in a roles and responsibilities matrix based on strengths and interest. But again, be flexible because this is about learning and growing. So this is a basic starting point, get organized. But if some along the road wants to do something else, then you can reshuffle the responsibilities depending on where you are in your project. You may need less of that specific skill over the next 2 weeks, so you can dedicate more time to something else, and you can reshuffle the resources. And this also has to be aligned to the commitment required, the team size, and the skills. So if the team is 4, of course you have to have everybody has to do everything. If there's a larger team up to 10, I think it's the largest team, then you can segment differently depending on your availability of resources and skills. So once we have that, then say, okay, we said we're going to be, what's our objective? Have the commitment and engagement from the team members, have an idea what they like to do. So let's define, we have very hard deadlines that Elaine is not very flexible at all. And she's already published those already, right? And I think I have them at the end of presentation, maybe outdated already, but already scheduled the sessions in the system also, the scrimmages, the regionals, state, all of them are already there. So we know exactly very clearly where we need to be when. So start backpedaling from where you need to be to define the set of activities that you need to execute. What are the milestones for the different areas, for the robot design, for doing the research, for starting a prototype, for getting the missions completed, then how many points am I getting? Can I improve? Repetition. Remember the judges, not repetition, improvement. The judges evaluate improvement, learning, redoing, improving. What are the iteration cycles? So you need to allow time for that, and also remember to document those and show them to the judges. And also, nothing is going to run perfect the first time, so you need to include buffer time in your Gantt chart as part of the learning, as part of the iteration cycle. So make sure that you include those buffers. It's not that one time you do it, and everything will run perfectly. That's not going to happen. We'll run into each. Any questions so far? Okay. So once you have your Gantt, you know what you need to do. You can assign tasks to be completed to different team members. And this is an area of learning that you can help them how to something that looks very big, analyze it and make it as a smaller problem, more achievable goals, and define what needs to be done in what sequence, what are subtasks of larger milestone. For example, I mentioned here, build a robot base. Example. What are the subtasks? So find parts, test the sensors, refine the design, um, do a basic programming to see how it moves. So things like that can help you improve the learning activity of the kids by helping to see a large task and how they can split it into parts and get to a smaller milestones that they can more tangible to execute. And for this, there's many things that you can use: Kanban boards, sticky notes, maybe a Lego sorting bins that you can say we have 10 tasks to do, and we number them as we complete them, 1 through 10. When we are at task 5, so we still have 5 to go. We're 50% done. Later, I mentioned a completion tracking dashboard. That would be a tool to say to represent, display the progress, but you need to collect the raw data on where the activities are happening. So how can you track that? Also, it's important to teach prioritization. Not everything can be done at the same time. Not everything needs to be done at the same time, and not uh, everything has dependencies. So there is a tool here called Eisenhower metrics. What is urgent? What is important? And depending on those combinations, you have to jump on it, do now, schedule when to do it later, delegate, have someone else to do it, or you say, okay, we're not going to do this. Or only if we get to there, we get.
So
And
do
also
you,
when you have high focus,
do
yes.
you put stickies in each of those four categories? Is that I've seen
That,
something
that
similar, but I've never seen this particular one.
you
Like,
can. This is the matrix to guide the concept, and when you execute it, you can do a dashboard, and you can create a panel or how do you call this, cardboard, and you
mhm.
split it, and then you say, what do we need to do this week? And you say, this week, these are the important ones. Everything needs to. You already kind of know what needs to be done. So what needs to be done for this week? And you say, okay, the urgent ones are these ones. Who's gonna be doing them? Who still has more time? Okay, then you will do the important as a second priority,
And
and then you assign.
I will say this from a judge's perspective. If you do something, if any of the coaches on the call do something like this, right? I've never seen this one before. I like it. But whatever your stickies are, so whenever a student says, we need to do something, you say, write it on the sticky, right? Because that's a to-do list. And now you need to categorize it as urgent or less urgent or whatever. But at some point, that thing will get hopefully done, and you put it in the done pile. Do not throw those yellow stickies away. Bring them to judging. If you have a way on a trifold board or even on a large piece of paper or something to bring with you to judging the actual stickies that the students wrote with their action items, and that you can show the judges that the the stickies moved from one category to the next, because I assume, Juan, that over time your stickies move around those quadrants, right?
They should, but again, we're not doing this yet.
Okay, sorry, but I would say, just from a judge's perspective, don't throw those away. Bring them to judging somehow if you can, to be able to show the judges how it is that the students implemented some of these ideas. I love it. I think this is great. Thank you.
Okay, I noticed the meeting is being transcribed. I wouldn't recommend to read it because my experience with those and my accent is not very good. Okay, so okay, we're going on time. And also keep the workload balanced across team members. Remember, you build a matrix of skills, you build a matrix of responsibilities. So make sure that someone is not being overworked just because it's more capable, but make sure the opportunity to learn for other kids exists also, as well. So that's also something to keep an eye all the time. Um, don't do that very well either. You have some kids that are faster doing some things, and then we naturally kind of they land doing some things that other kids can learn, and that's not that's not a good exercise practice. So communication and meetings. So set regular check-ins and working sessions. Again, relates to the commitment, how often you're gonna meet, and make sure those meetings are that meeting time. What they're going to do is a checkpoint. See where people are at on things that they should be working on. Is it a working session where you're going to improve certain missions? Are you going to do attachment design? You're going to talk about the innovation project. You're going to have an expert. Um, 1 week goes by very fast. So if you meet only once a week, then make sure you do good use of that time. And weekly updates. So a checkpoint with the kids. Well, how are you doing? Any help needed? Anything that you feel not only help needed, but you need more resource. So how to structure that? Start with what did you do? What you stuck on? What do you need? To encourage dialogue in taking, explaining what they're working on, because sometimes also kids speak on top of each other and gets messy really quick. So again, it's a very short time. Make good use of the sessions and document the progress, the meetings. Uh, hey, also, we have Discord where we exchange um, ideas, and the whole team is connected there. Or use also technology to track the progress, because one of the I think the main reason I approached Elaine was because I didn't know where we were in our team, and I know we're going to be ready. And the last 3 weeks were chaos, and it's not normal for a project to have the final, how do you call it, getting to the final day. But we didn't know what was missing. We know where we were, and some of the things, you go with that and see how it goes. So, Elaine, don't tell that to the judges. We perfect, but build some type of tracking, like a board down chart. What's the progress? What percentage? So the progress board is more from 0 to 100. The board down is the reverse, from 100 to 0, and also celebrate wins and milestones. Maybe ice cream, maybe a small snack, but find time to celebrate. Not just, okay, the final goal is over there. Have fun through the process. That's what I was mentioning about the experience, not so much about the end goal. And also teach flexibility, because once you see where you at, and you see if you're running behind, you need to make a plan, revise the plan, and that also helps you understand how good or how bad things are going. And also helps you to set up the agenda, say, hey, we need to check plan for how we're going to catch up. And reflection, practice periodic review, so have time to see how we're doing, where can we, as part of the iteration. And all of this, remember, as Elaine mentioned, it's one key component of in the rubric. So show that you have some type of plan, that you have responsibilities assigned, that you have milestones defined, that you have way to track, that responsibilities are distributed evenly, that everybody's participating, and show that to the judges, and make sure they are aware of that. Okay, so that's the material that I had. Um, Planning, as I mentioned at the beginning, is to have an idea what I'm going to do over the next 4 months. And when you show that to the rest of the team, also give them teams confidence and direction of, okay, this is where we're going. Have a master plan. But also remember lessons, questions, and reflections. The templates, the templates. I didn't add any templates on purpose because I didn't want to restrict your creativity. There is a lot of tools or templates online how to do this. Um, but if you have any questions, any help, you can feel free to contact me. And also, Elaine has created a very comprehensive website. I hope this is still the link. Um, to also help with additional resources beyond this that I posted here.